of all the different things that were going on in the Roman Empire, right? They didn't participate in the pagan worship. They didn't participate in the sacrifice to idols. They didn't participate in the sexual immorality. They didn't participate in the the mistreatment of slaves. They didn't participate in the pagan culture and in the pagan society. Therefore, Christians were considered to be haters of mankind. You must hate us because you don't participate in the same things that we do. They were also considered unpatriotic. Now, why would Christians in the Roman Empire be considered unpatriotic? Because at certain times in the Roman Empire, they demanded that all the citizens of the empire do what the Romans would have considered to be a pledge of allegiance. And you know how they did it? They didn't stand before a flag and put their hand over their heart and say, I pledge allegiance to the Roman flag. No, this is how they did it. They would take a pinch of incense. They would go before a statue of the Roman emperor with some burning coals in front of it, and they would burn a pinch of incense before the statue of the Roman Empire and say, Caesar is Lord. And then once they said that, they would get a certificate from a government official. Okay, you burned the pinch of incense and you said Caesar is Lord. You can go your way. Here's your certificate, and that's fine. Without that certificate, you could be persecuted, right? And so basically, the government would come in, set an office, everybody in the village, everybody in the town, wherever, would have to come through one by one and take this oath and burn the pinch of incense. Now, the Christians couldn't do it, right? The Christians said, I'm not going to do a sacrifice, which was what symbolically the pinch of incense was, right? I'm not going to do a sacrifice to Caesar, and secondly, I'm not going to say Caesar is Lord, because Jesus Christ is Lord. And the Roman officials would beg with the Christians. They would plead with them. They would say, please just do it. They'd say, look, I don't have anything against you, but if you don't have this certificate saying that you did this, you're going to get in a lot of trouble. Now, check it out. What if you were a Christian and the Roman officials said, because this happened a lot, the Roman officials said, okay, look, I know you don't want to do this. I know you have some crazy superstition that says you can't do this. All right, fine. I don't care. You give me, the Roman equivalent of $50. Don't do it, and I'll give you the certificate that says that you did. If you're a believer, do you take that? What a question, though, right? You could see how this would be a challenge. Because you could say, well, look, I didn't do it. All I did was I paid $50. But then again, I received a piece of paper that said that I did do it. But then again, this piece of paper means I'm not going to be killed. What a challenge for the early church, right? And so this whole business of being unpatriotic. Now you need to understand, the Christians saw this as a religious issue, right? The Romans didn't see it as a religious issue at all. The Romans wondered why the Christians were being so stubborn, so obstinate. Why can't they just do this? But for the Christians, it meant something. Again, the Romans saw this as a political offense, where Christians just saw it as being faithful unto God. Well, let me just conclude with a quick story here about Ignatius, an early Christian leader. When Ignatius was an old man, the Roman Emperor Trajan, who ruled from 98 to 117, he made a visit to Antioch, and he was told that the bishop of the despised and hated Christians wanted to see him. So Trajan allowed Ignatius to see him, and Trajan spoke to Ignatius very bitterly. Trajan said this, "There you are, wicked devil, deceiver of men." Ignatius said, "Not an evil spirit, but I have Jesus Christ in my heart." Trajan said, "Jesus Christ within you? Do you mean the one who was crucified by Pontius Pilate?" And Ignatius said, "Yes, he was crucified for my sins." After this, the emperor, without any further legal proceedings, condemned him to be taken to Rome and thrown to the wild animals before cheering Roman crowds. And this is how it happened. I said one final example there. No, one more final example. Pliny was this Roman government official that we've already looked at some of his writings. Well, Pliny had questions on what to do with this persecution of the Christians. And so he wrote the Emperor Trajan. Pliny had found that what he called the insanity of Christianity had infected many of all ages and ranks, and that the temples were almost empty. Pliny says that it was hard to sell food for the sacrificial animals because nobody was sacrificing to the gods anymore. Now, all of this surprised him. And so he arrested Christians, and he executed some who refused to burn a pinch of incense to Caesar. And this is what Pliny writes. He says, "This is the course I have adopted. I ask them if they are Christians. If they admit it, I repeat the question a second and third time, threatening capital punishment. If they persist, I sentence them to death, for their inflexible obstinacy should certainly be punished. Christians who are Roman citizens, I reserve to be sent to Rome. I discharge those who are willing to curse Christ, a thing which is said genuine Christians cannot be persuaded to do." So again, do you see what Pliny does? He brings, are you a Christian? Yes, I am. Are you really a Christian? Yes, I am. All right, I'm going to kill you if you're a Christian. You're going to be under the death penalty. Are you really a Christian? Yes, I am. Okay, great. Take him away. He's going to die. And then he says to other ones, if he senses a softening, are you a Christian? They don't say anything, or they give an uncertain answer. He says, curse Jesus Christ. And if they curse Jesus Christ, he says, well, I know they're not a Christian. In his response, Trajan told Pliny, don't seek out Christians for arrest. But when you find out they are, when an informant tells you, when they're exposed, then deal with them just as you said. But Trajan said, don't bother seeking them out. We've got other things to worry about. This was the character of persecution within the early church.